Hi, everyone. Good Friday evening to you. Hope you and yours are well as we prepare for the final weekend before Christmas. We got a lot to talk about on weather for Weather Geeks this evening. We're going to geek out to our snow forecast on Saturday, kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and show you what I'm thinking in terms of where this main band of lake effect will set up on our Saturday and how tricky the roads could certainly be. And we'll take a look at the Christmas time forecast as well, and even a peek at the longer range as we head into a much different pattern after the new year. Let's start out this evening with a time lapse from our Canfield Fairgrounds camera. And I hustled last evening to update our forecast to account for this snow this morning. It wasn't obvious that we were going to get a period of snow pretty much everywhere first thing this morning, yesterday afternoon. But by last evening, and mostly after I recorded Weather Geeks, the high resolution model data was becoming more and more persuasive that, hey, we need to allow for maybe up to an inch worth of snow this morning, and indeed that's what we got in a lot of places. But it melted and compacted really quickly once the snow shut down. Even though we didn't have any sunshine today and it only got a few degrees above freezing, the snow was not long for this world. And generally speaking, a lot of us had half an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter in a couple of spots, but around an inch was pretty common at the start of the day today, and that's what we recorded officially at the Youngstown Warren Airport, officially 1 inch worth of snow with our morning snow showers. Now, let's talk about what's going on this evening and what will transpire as we go into our Saturday. This morning, snow meant some business. This evening, not so much. We have pretty consistent snow showers and flurries out here, closer to I-77 and out towards Mansfield and Worcester and places like that. But all of that's going to be to our west for the most part this evening. Yeah, there could be a couple of flurries around our TV viewing area this evening, but generally the weather pretty low impact. The National Weather Service originally had a winter weather advisory out for the main snow belt from Cuyahoga to Lake to Geauga to Ashtabula and over towards Erie County, PA. They did add a couple of counties to that winter weather advisory today, and one of those is in our TV viewing area, that of course Trumbull County. The rest of our viewing area, not under any sort of advisory right now. Wouldn't be shocked if in the middle of the night tonight, the Cleveland and Pittsburgh offices, teamed up to maybe add another county or two to this winter weather advisory, depending on what happens with our high-resolution model data this evening. And here's the latest run of our high-resolution model called the HRRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh. This is a high-resolution model that updates once an hour. It is like having a camera with a lot of megapixels. If you've got a really good smartphone, an iPhone, or something else that really takes sharp pictures, a model like this is kind of like that. And that being said, it's a computer model, so we don't take it verbatim, and it has its good days and its bad, but it is a nice tool at our disposal in all weather situations, including, of course, in situations like this, where lake effect is going to get going. And I think this is going to organize pretty quickly tomorrow morning. So already by about daybreak, by 7:30, 8 o'clock, we may already have a pretty beefy band of snow across our viewing area with a connection up to Lake Huron. And, there's going to be kind of a fire hose of little snow bands tomorrow. But there may be one that's kind of more dominant. That's oftentimes the case when you have kind of a north to northwest wind flow, like we're going to have tomorrow. You have a lot of individual streamers of lake effect, but then you have one that connects all the way up to Lake Huron, and that's the one underneath that, wherever that wiggles and wobbles late tonight, and especially on Saturday, wherever that wiggles and wobbles, that's where your heaviest snow is likely to be. So here's what we did with our snow forecast. And, this is certainly not a final forecast yet. I'm going to continue to update this evening as conditions warrant, and we'll get plenty of new model data over the next 2 to 3 hours. But there's probably a lollipop of 5, 6, even 7 or 8 inches up towards Chardon, kind of in the traditional snow belt in Geauga County, southeastern, or southwestern, I should say, Trumbull County, or Ashtabula County, and then northwestern Trumbull. I mean, really far northwestern Trumbull. But I think a lot of Trumbull County is likely to get at least a few inches worth of snow. And, if I make any adjustments to our snow forecast this evening, I kind of suspect it will be to expand this 3 to 5 area more so like this to catch a place like Hubbard and maybe New Wilmington and maybe Louisville, Struthers, over towards the Ohio Pennsylvania line between Mahoning and Lawrence counties. If we make a change, it's probably going to be something like that. I doubt we'll add a lot of additional 3 to 5 areas tonight, but it's one of those things tomorrow where it's not going to snow all day. And in any one location, it can snow at any point, but it's not going to snow all day. And, a lot of people are going to be out and about tomorrow. It's the Saturday before Christmas. The malls, the shopping centers, the roads are all going to be busy. And it's going to be one of those situations where you just have to be alert for changeable weather conditions. It's going to go from fine to not so fine in a hurry as these bands, especially that dominant band, continues to wiggle around. But the best bet for 3 inches or more at this point is a good chunk of Trumbull County and maybe extreme western Mercer. But again, I might expand this area a little bit farther to the south, catching Pulaski, West Middlesex, more of the Hubbard area, and extreme eastern Mahoning County. We'll see how the model data looks this evening, over the next few hours especially. So no matter how much snow you get, it's going to be cold on Saturday. Wind chills no higher than the teens all day, probably dropping down into the single digits Saturday night. Actual air temperatures Saturday night into Sunday morning will get down well into the teens, and actually the coldest night's probably Sunday night. There could be some backyards that get down into the single digits before Sunday night is through. So here's a model depiction of tomorrow morning, and again, I caution you to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, because models are not going to be able to resolve where exactly these snow bands are likely to be at exact times, but it gives you an idea of the coverage. Already by tomorrow morning, we may have one kind of semi-dominant band picking up moisture off of Lake Huron, over Lake Erie, and depositing it over eastern Ohio and extreme western PA. It'll wiggle and wobble as we get into the afternoon. Hard to say who's getting snow and who's not at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but someone's probably seeing a pretty decent snow shower at that time. Now, the lake effect conditions will be pretty favorable through maybe an hour or two after sunset Saturday evening, so by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I would expect things to be winding down and probably not much more than flurries for the rest of the night. Clouds will perhaps break for some sun on Sunday. I don't think we'll have a completely overcast sky in every location on Sunday like we've had over the last couple of days, but the flavor of the day Sunday is just more clouds than sun and awfully cold. I mean, no higher than the lower 20s on Sunday. Then with a clearing sky late in the day Sunday into Sunday night, that will allow temperatures to bottom out pretty quickly, especially if you've got snow on the ground. You have a good chance of seeing some single digits, I think, for Sunday night and early Monday. Then as we head into next week, and of course we have Christmas coming up on Wednesday, and Monday is going to be another busy day on the roads and at airports and everything else, and the weather locally is going to cooperate through the daylight hours Monday. Now, Monday night, this next system will approach and will probably bring us a period of wet snowflakes and some raindrops mixed in, but impacts look to be fairly low from that. So here's what we've done with our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day forecast. Tuesday's Christmas Eve, of course, and that system departing Tuesday morning might still have a sprinkle or a flurry with it by the time the sun tries to come up Tuesday morning. Otherwise, just clouds. And actually, just clouds for a lot of Tuesday and a lot of Christmas Day coming up on Wednesday. And that'll keep our temperatures about what you would expect in the latter half of December, in the middle 30s. All right, it's going to warm up then into the 40s for much of the week between Christmas and New Year's, but I think the warm weather is not long for this world as we flip the calendar to 2025. The first day or two of the new year may be pretty mild, but after that, here's today's outlook from the Climate Prediction Center covering weeks 3 and 4, roughly January 4th through the 17th. I think we're going to see a lot of winter in that stretch. And it may be that we see, the most consistently wintry weather of the entire season during, a 2 or 3 week stretch in January. My idea for the end game of winter coming up in, 6, 7, 8 weeks is that February has a chance of being a fairly mild month, as is often the case in a La Nina. But I do think that January, at least for a couple of weeks, is going to be pretty cold and perhaps pretty snowy as well. We've got one more edition of Weather for Weather Geeks coming up before Christmas and for the rest of the year. That'll be on Monday. After that, we won't be doing this video until Monday the 6th of January. And on this coming Monday, the 23rd of December, we'll do a year in review. We'll update that Christmas Day forecast and talk more about what January might have in store for Eastern Ohio and Western PA. Thanks for watching on this Friday evening. Have a great rest of your night and a great weekend, everyone.